I just purchased an edition of BDAG there. BDAG is the lexicon of the Greek New Testament used by professional Bible scholars. And so, even though I personally am an amateur, I do actually own quite a lot of the tools of a professional, and I'm beginning to look into ways as to how I might become a professional Bible scholar. So there's BDAG, Bauer's Greek English Lexicon. It's actually a pretty nice book. But what I wanted to talk about today is legendary development in the New Testament. So, in St. Paul's Epistles that were composed circa 50 CE, circa 50 in the Common Era, Jesus is the descendant of King David according to the flesh, and this seems to mean that he was born of natural parents. So Jesus and Mary, although I don't think that they're mentioned in St. Paul's epistles. So in St. Paul, whoever the parents of Jesus are, and I don't think that St. Paul actually knows who Jesus' parents are, but in St. Paul's epistles, whoever Jesus' parents are, they just seem to have conceived Jesus in the natural way. So he's a descendant of David according to the flesh. Now we come to the Gospel of Mark, circa 70 CE, and I put Mark in inverted commas because we don't actually know who wrote the Gospel of Mark. So in the Gospel of Mark, there is no infancy narrative. There are no angels that herald the birth of Jesus. In the Gospel of Mark, I think that we have an adoptionist Christology. Jesus becomes the Christ whenever he's baptized by John the Baptist and the Spirit of God descends upon him. And I think in the Gospel of Mark, the second person is actually used. So in the Gospel of Mark, I think, although I could be wrong about this, in the Gospel of Mark, I think a voice is heard from God saying, "Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." So this is news to Jesus. Jesus didn't know this. So this is news to him, and that's why God says, "Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." However, in the baptism of Jesus in Matthew, the second person is turned into, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. So Jesus did not need to be told this because Jesus is already beginning to turn into God, turn into a pre-existent God. So he didn't need to know this. In the Matthean version, it is not to tell Jesus that he is the Son of God, it is to tell his followers that he is the Son of God. So in Mark it's thou, and in Matthew it is this. So you can begin to see how the Christology is beginning to get bigger in Matthew than it is in Mark. Okay, but I want to focus on the angelic appearances. So in the Gospel of Matthew, composed circa 80 CE, an angel appears to Joseph in a dream. I think it was either Thomas Paine or Remsburg, but I think it was actually Thomas Paine, who said that for an angel to appear to Joseph in a dream, this is the same thing as saying that Joseph dreamed about an angel. And I think that this keeps happening whenever Joseph is told to go back to Nazareth. The angel appears to him in a dream, so he's dreaming about angels, and there's nothing necessarily supernatural about this. I'm sure people dream about angels all the time. So whenever we get into the Gospel of Luke, these dreams about angels actually turn into actual angelic appearances, and not just one angelic appearance, but several. We have an angel appearing to Zacharias. Zacharias is the father of John the Baptist. We have an actual angel appearing to Mary, and we have an actual angel appearing to the shepherds. And so we can see that the tale is getting better with the telling. We begin with a simple story about a human Messiah in St. Paul, and by the time we are in Luke, we have angels appearing to Zacharias and Mary and the shepherds, and this legendary development continues. Whenever you get into the Gospel of Peter, we have talking crosses. So by this time, the legend had gotten so unbelievable that nobody bought it. So later Gospels like Peter never made its way into the canon. So more myth and miracle and magic is added to the story as the story gets told and retold.